Hey, you! Yes, you! Do you sometimes feel like you are an ignorant, unproductive person? If yes, then I have great news for you. You are not unproductive, and that is a problem. Never before in history has humanity produced more goods than today. The consequence of our consumerism has been and will continue to be an unbelievable amount of waste. In certain parts of the world, this waste is being disposed of in waste dumps, with the only goal to get it out of the population centers. I'm sure it doesn't need to be said that these dumps are rather unpleasant sights, not to speak of the smell or the pollution of the environment. So what if I told you that instead of this, we could have things like this? An alternative to waste dumps has been known for a long time and is being used in almost all the developed countries on Earth. I'm talking about the incineration of waste in waste incineration plants. Not only can the heat of the burning waste be used to produce electricity and to heat buildings, it also greatly reduces the volume of the waste. What is left is so-called bottom ash, which is usually disposed of in landfills. The problem with bottom ash is the fact that it contains great amounts of heavy metals and other harmful substances. If these substances find their way into the environment, they can cause severe harm to several organisms like animals, plants and humans. For that reason, the bottom ash can't just be scattered in nature. It has to be contained in a secure place where it can't be swept away by rainwater, for example. An issue that many smaller countries have now is that their landfills are slowly but steadily running out of space. And to create new landfills is not as easy as one would think. People usually aren't thrilled about the prospect of a landfill full of contaminated ash on their doorstep. This is the reason why experts are looking for ways to make use of the heaps of bottom ash our society produces every day. Don't be fooled. What we call waste can still be a valuable resource. A pioneer in the reutilization of bottom ash are the Netherlands. Sand and gravel are very important resources for the construction of building foundations and streets. Because of its geographical location, the Netherlands don't have big deposits of these resources, which are usually mined in mountainous areas. The solution they came up with is to use the bottom ash from their incineration plants instead. At the first glance, this seems like a great idea. The problem lies in the mentioned heavy metals in the bottom ash. Where streets have been built with bottom ash, the concentration of heavy metals in close-by waters like rivers, streams and lakes steadily rose to a level where it exceeded the legal threshold values. Sooner or later, these heavy metal particles will find their way into the people's drinking water, and nobody wants that to happen. The heavy metals in question are among others copper, lead and zinc. The consumption of these metals can have severe consequences for a person's health. So the question is, what else can be done with the bottom ash? Another construction material that is in great demand is concrete. The importance of concrete is something that most people aren't really aware of. We all know what concrete is, what it looks like, what it is used for, what it smells like. But do you know what it is actually made of? If not, don't worry. You might be lacking basic knowledge about the material that surrounds you almost every day, that enables us to build most of our vital infrastructure and is pretty much the most important building material of all time. But it's alright. That's why you're watching this video after all. Learn something. And if you do know, congratulations! Go get yourself a cookie. Concrete is a mixture of cement, sand and gravel. While the cement is acting like a glue that keeps all components together, the sand and gravel enhance the stability and the volume of the concrete. Bottom ash can be used as a substitute for sand and gravel in the concrete mixture. The biggest issue with this practice is again the heavy metals inside the bottom ash. Even though added to concrete, these heavy metals are still mobile and able to move through chemical processes to the surface of the concrete. Once there, they can be washed away into the environment by rainwater, for example. So this means putting our bottom mesh into our concrete isn't a good idea, right? Well, luckily for us, concrete doesn't only consist out of sand and gravel, but also cement. Cement is a mixture of limestone, silicon oxide, iron oxide, and aluminum oxide. These ingredients are being put together into a cement kiln where they are being heated up to around 1500 degrees Celsius. At this point, the ingredients begin to melt together. This process is called sintering. The substance that is left is called cement clinker. After grinding the clinker into a fine powder, we have cement. What makes cement so useful is the fact that after being mixed with water, it creates a grid of crystal spikes called calcium silicate hydrates. These spikes grip into each other, a bit like Lego stones do. That holds them and everything they envelop together like glue. Coincidentally, all the necessary ingredients for cement can also be found in our bottom mesh. This means that a part of the cement clinker mixture can be replaced with the bottom mesh before it's being heated up in the cement kiln. When this new cement is now mixed with water, the heavy metal particles will be fixed in this crystal grid and unable to move. Studies from Italy and Taiwan have shown that replacing only 5% of the cement clinker mix would be sufficient to get rid of all the freshly produced bottom ash. This and the amount of greenhouse gas emissions that could be saved by reducing the amount of raw materials that have to be mined for the cement clinker production are strong arguments for the use of bottom ash in the cement industry. But what we mustn't forget is that the heavy metals in the bottom ash won't disappear after they are put into concrete. They'd still be there in our buildings, our bridges, our art. Sooner or later these things will crumble or be torn down, and we will again be left with contaminated heaps of waste. Hopefully we will have found a lasting solution by then. But until that point, all we can do is to try not to make the situation even worse than it is already. We need to reduce the amount of waste we produce every day. There are many ways we can manage that, and the easiest way to start is to stop buying cheap stuff we don't need. But from personal experience, I can say that most of my waste comes from packing materials of food. Instead of buying refined and triple wrapped food, we could buy fresh foodstuff and take the time to cook proper meals and prepare healthier snacks than we would get at the store. This won't solve our problem, but it's much better than to keep going like there is no problem at all.